Fashion doesn't get you women, or does it? So, with the power of the internet, can I now figure this question out? I'm gonna have two profiles of myself. One is gonna be the Wagyu beef, the artistic man, the man that does everything, but nothing at all. While the other is going to be the very mainstream packaged meat, something that everyone can get quite along with. Someone that you'll see out on the Walmart aisle, packaged well, but you know, it's good enough, decent enough, mainstream enough. Now, I'm quite the scientific man myself. So, with any scientific man, must he ask himself a hypothesis. Now, my hypothesis is the mainstream type of beef is going to do better than the Wagyu beef. Overall, mainstream type of beef is going to be quite easy and accessible for most to relate to maybe even like. And it's not something that's gonna scare the hoes away. To further this case study, must I ask myself, what is the female gaze? Because I need to figure out what the female gaze is before I decide to build both of these profiles.
What's the female gaze?
I don't know, like if I knew I probably wouldn't be single. That or maybe like big balls.
What do you think the female gaze is?
Having a passion for something.
Nipple piercings.
I think the female gaze is being able to express yourself in a way that doesn't restrain you from your own expectations of being masculine. Being vulnerable within yourself and your body, and you know, doing what you want to do without the expectations of society. Well, that's a gaze that everyone should have. I think in particular towards men, you shouldn't be afraid of what to wear, you shouldn't be afraid of what to modify on yourself. Like, it's all about kind of like being vulnerable with your own body.
They should look after themselves, so they should be like hygienic, dress well, like they put effort into themselves, because then it feels like they're putting effort for you almost. So yeah, I guess like dress well, good haircut, fucking hygienics.
I mean, like preferably knows how to dress, preferably can like put clothes on by themselves and doesn't need to be shown what outfits to pair with each other.
How can that be shown through a picture?
Or picture.
Yes.
I think it's tricky because you can see how somebody looks aesthetically based off of how they're choosing to present themselves through a picture, but none of those other things you can tell. So it's a luck of the draw gamble.
So the female gaze, right, would be entirely dependent on the woman that you ask. So typically I would say that the best way to kind of blanket this would be men that aren't afraid to express their femininity or embrace femininity. So typically soft features or feminine wardrobe, whatever it may be. Typically, like, most male models would have, you know, more feminine features, as well as like K-pop stars or like men in media that, you know, do something that's in the field of entertainment. Does that make sense?
After getting a new idea of what the female gaze is according to this sample size, I have an idea of how to create this profile. But since I'm banned on Tinder, long story, I must ask my roommate to use his account for this case study.
Can I use your phone number for Tinder? Because I'm banned?
Yeah, sure.
Sick.
So after getting all those cool avant pictures of myself with my long hair for the Tinder profile, I now have to reform back into the man that I used to be. So I must now then form into a more normal person, something more average. And what is average, you might be thinking? Well, obviously a man with not long hair, because long hair is seen as feminine. So I must go back to my roots of being a Neanderthal. So that means we gotta cut it all off. Now here's my mainstream haircut, and I've been told that I look like a lesbian, which is fire, I guess. But anyway, let's get into making this online profile for the avant style. I'm going to try and be as genuine as possible here to answer these questions accordingly. Now you may be wondering how this is going to work, so here are the rules. I will have both of these profiles up for a week, and I will like everyone. Absolutely no biases. Now it definitely would be fun to do another video on different dating platforms with different styles and personalities, so if you have any suggestions of any rules / guidelines and dating apps to test these profiles on, leave them down below. 43 matches and 31 likes later, this data is showing that I'm pretty average in terms of my matches to likes ratio. And if you've had a different experience as a man on Tinder, leave some comments down below of what your stats were after a week. I'm curious to see if there's a similarity or not. Now, I'm definitely gonna need some help from the experts on how to dress more normie, because that's definitely out of my range of knowledge. So I head into the office of Professor Stephen Majid.
That is literally the Aiden Rosso tie. Yoshi. No business, no motion. Have a seat. We got a lot of work to do. Step 1, lose the Yoshi.
It's Yoshi.
That's the problem. Don't you get it? Step 1, fire fits.
How's this?
That's it. Step 2, trendy hair. Looks like you already did something about that. Good job. You used to look like shit. That leads us to step 3, fun with friends. Now that you look somewhat presentable, you can go on to make strong bonds with other men. Step 4, now you need to go and show the world how dope you and your cool new friends are. Your life is so cool, and you're always having fun, and you're never sad. Which leads us to finally, step 5, normie. If you follow my 4-step program, you will have achieved the status and prestige of a normie.
Now that I have formed the perfect fashion guy profile from fire fits to fun with friends, we can let this profile cook for a week and open it back up and see what the numbers tell us. Because I'm telling you right now, I'm guarantee you, the meat's gonna be quite tender. So let's let that meat rest. This profile has entered a high elo. Oh, I want you so bad. You have such cute style. Hi, pull and so kiss me through the phone. Matches, 84, 58 potential likes. Oh, did this profile cook? This profile got more matches, more first replies, and not only that, but lowered my ego. And some would say that I might be a looker, but that clearly didn't play a part in how many people would swipe on me. And based on first impressions, a dude dressed like a priest reeks of pretentiousness, standoffishness, probably is quite intimidating, and if anything, definitely has a fat ego. And look, I don't blame people for assuming that because most of the time, majority of the people that dress like me are typically that archetype of person. And I always say this, people ruin things for people, and sometimes assumptions are correct. Anyway, to avoid any more self-loathing, let's take a look at the other profile. Clearly, this guy is a lot more approachable, since he doesn't dress out of the standard of the typical style a person would see on social media. Sure, he's not completely dressed like most generic guys, but there's some effort in his appearance. The main takeaway here is something more palatable will always be picked over something more foreign. So, JQ, what's the conclusion here? What was the point of this video? Was there a deeper meaning? Now, there's plenty of things to talk about here. I could talk about how people commodify themselves to objectively look like something they aren't on the internet when they post themselves on these dating apps or these platforms, or how easy it is to make connections somewhat that are very surface level and, to be honest, the most disgusting I've ever felt on a platform whatsoever. What am I supposed to reply to somebody that says, I want you so bad? How am I supposed to connect to that? I'd rather have someone talk to me about if I would feel remorse for blowing up a building full of people. Clearly, being yourself on these platforms doesn't really matter. If anything, commodifying yourself to be more accessible, or I would even say palatable, is better for your market value in this dating landscape. The reality of this algorithm is that it's based off ELOs, that's what I like to call it. The less likes you get, the less matches you'll get, and most likely your ego will be destroyed. Now, clearly for my first profile that I made, I wasn't getting that many matches compared to my other counterpart, which is a more palatable version of myself. Now, I don't really have that much of an ego. I am a little bit insecure, well, kind of a lot, but for the most part, I would say it's quite disturbing to see the very stark contrast of how many matches versus replies that I was getting from both profiles. I got like 2 people that messaged me on my first avant style profile, which is the typical way of dress I do, while the other one that was more accessible, I was just getting flooded. And even before I even deleted the app after a week, like I had kept it on my phone for a little bit because I needed to film some other parts of me, recording the parts of like the profile and stuff, I was still getting flooded with messages. Like there were still other women messaging me. Now I know a lot of people are questioning, JQ, did you go on a date with any of these girls? No, it's super unethical. I would never do that. And also, not to mention, I don't really like to form connections through a third space that is heavily commodifying yourself through the presence of what you appear to be. And likelihood is it's going to be the best representation of yourself. These dating profiles force you to pick the best pictures of yourself, the best angles, perform the best bio that a man could think of. It's funny enough, I just put professional yapper in my bio, but you know, that seemed to work. Now, I don't know all the tricks to this trade because it's a game. The algorithm is a game to function with. The profiles you make is a game to get the most matches and get into a higher elo versus seeing all the more mid, unattractive people. That's what I always see people talking about on Reddit and also like other platforms in general. And you know, Tinder also just shoves the subscription service that you need to purchase so that they push your profile to more matches of possibilities of people you'll connect with. I don't think dating profiles and dating apps are the most greatest mentally for people. I've heard some of my friends say that like sometimes you need that ego boost on when you go on a dating app. But what happens when you go on a dating app and you get like 0 likes or 10 likes in a week? I don't know what the average is. I mean, according to Google, the average for a male is like 3 likes a day or something like that. I guess I'm a bit over and above that in terms of what the average male would get in a day, but I don't feel that great. If anything, I feel like I was just a piece of meat. This was a fun experiment. I did enjoy myself making these profiles, and I will say when I was going outside wearing the normal fashion guy, you know, outfit, that's something that's more palatable, I got way more human interaction than I've ever gotten in a while. Because I've been dressing in black for about like 5 to 6 years now, and maybe even longer, I don't even remember, but I don't really get approached. I understand I can be quite intimidating, and obviously, like, of course, someone that's dressed in all black might seem a little pretentious, and there's a fashion stereotype thing that I also do want to make a video on, but I hate the guys that dress like myself, to be honest. Most of the people that I interact that dress like me, I dislike them. But regardless of the fact, when I was out, I got more people to talk to me, I had a lot more stranger interactions that were quite lovely, as well as getting recommendations in public from random strangers off the street when I was ordering food or when I was getting drinks. Like, people would come and talk to me and like recommend me things, and it was really nice. So I can understand the allure of the community fella, and to have that monkey neuron activation, we must like what we see, you know? It's kind of like with food. The more you like the appearance of the food, the more likely you're gonna eat it. And things that are more accessible are like ice cream, pancakes, I don't know, what else? Grits? Nah, grits are disgusting. I had grits the other day. I thought grits were a grill because it said grits. Grits were grill, grill equals meat. I thought it was meat, but then what was presented to me was wheat. It's disgusting. I would never eat that, and it tasted nasty. Now, if you're ugly, I don't know what to tell you, my friend. There's different parts to play in that section, but in actuality, you might not even look like that. We get catfished all the time. I might not look how I look on this camera as I'm recording this now. Out in public, I might look way better or way uglier. That's a huge fear of mine, since I have no power or control over how I can allow people to perceive me. Because if anything, I was being perceived way too much on a Tinder app. One would say, well, JQ, aren't you perceived constantly on the internet? Yes, because it's on my own volition, rather than people rating me if I'm good enough to swipe right on. People are just going based off how I talk and what I talk about, my topics. You know, I'd rather be rated off that, not my looks. I feel like dating apps and Tinder, just in general, are quite a surface level way of thought. You know, it's like we're basing it all off someone's looks and if they're good enough to swipe on. I mean, look at me, bro. If I was on a dating app, I'd probably do the same thing. I'm also a monkey myself. I think quite one-dimensionally when it comes to looks too as well. I'm not any different from the average man. You know, personality shines through when you talk to somebody, but if we're going off a first basis of just appearance, we're gonna go based off looks, then style, then onwards to whatever else we find out about the person. But honestly, I think Tinder just in general is just a wrapped up illusion of imitation of what that person thinks is gonna get the most swipes, and also is just the best representation of what they look like and who they are in a profile, and that scares me. What if I had showed up to a date, you know, that I got from the normal profile, and I showed up wearing how my typical attire? Would the person be confused? Worried? Would they like it? Wow, I think too much. You thought I forgot about it, but I'm still here doing it. So, the first comment highlight that I'd like to comment and highlight for the comment is This one, bro has no facial harmony. And then the second one is, how do you have and not have a jawline at the same time? Now, I think these comments are quite fitting for this this video that we're making now today. I don't know, dude, I get a lot of comments like this. It's quite strange. I've seen people say that my hair looks too greasy, or they fixate on my appearance. Bro has no facial harmony. That one kind of hurt, you know, that's a whole different level of, wow. I don't even know what to say to that. Now, as a viewer, I would like you to envision you getting these kind of comments. I do not know how I do it. I think I've gotten very desensitized to just comment sections in general. Sometimes things kind of do piss me off when I see like comments that are like really ignorant. Like, for example, people get mad at me for some of my comments about fashion, or just say like, you're pretentious. That's the one thing that like kind of bothers me. To write someone off as pretentious because they have an opinion is quite Neanderthal mindset, to be honest. It's quite simpleton mindset. Personally, if you disagree with what I have to say, just say you disagree with me. It doesn't necessarily need to be kind of like point at me and say you're pretentious for having an opinion. I think that's quite lame. If you disagree with me, leave your reasoning on why you disagree. Give me an explanation. I would love to discuss that rather than just someone state, I hate you, I dislike you, I don't like your face, whatever that is. Those comments don't really help the process of stirring the pot, because I'm a stirrer. And you can be a pot or you can be a stirrer. Depends on what you want to do. Or you could be the liquid inside the pot, whatever that is. But, you know, next time, instead of commenting on my looks, explain why you don't like me, rather than my looks. It hurts my feelings. Remember to leave some better comments in the comment section, and maybe I will discuss it in the next video, and even if it's intelligent. Make it intelligent. I'd like to discuss it in a small portion of the next video. Now, a real question to everyone that's used a dating app, I'm sure most of us have. How do you talk to people on those dating apps? How does it proceed onward? Does it feel vacuous and empty as it felt to me? Or am I just too much in my mind? Am I just pondering my orb a little bit too long for me not to consider something less than something thoughtful? I don't really know. I really want to know. So leave me some answers in the comment section. I'd love to hear them. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that, but thank you for joining me on this video. I hope you liked it, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I can see you in the next one at some point. I'll be making more videos quite soon. I just need to keep pondering my orb. I'd like to also shout out the Patreon members for all following me, and also supporting me and watching my Patreon podcast that I have and I yap on. I appreciate you guys very much so. And with that, I will see you in the next video at some point in time. Building both platforms was quite difficult, especially the other profile. I hate getting my pictures taken because it just reminds me sometimes of how bad I look in just a split second, and I just can't handle that. But at last, I got my pictures, I got them on my profile, and was my worth and market value leveled up? In a way, it kind of was. Obviously, I'm more palatable as a more normal person. It's a lot less intimidating. I don't want to say normal person, but I don't know, people would call me not normal because I wear all black. Most people would. I was about to say normal. Normal sounds like a slur, but it's not. What am I saying?